A lot of people will tell you that these days there's no such thing as a bad car. Well, that's rubbish. But there is some good news, because one of the very worst, the Volvo 300 series, recently went out of production. However, while it's good news there are no new ones being made, it's very bad news that there are still hundreds and hundreds left polluting our roads. Well, in a few minutes, there's going to be one less. Take it away, Mark. This is for every time I've caught you dawdling at junctions. This is for every time I've found you doing 4 miles an hour on a motorway. This is payback time. And that is the end of one very nasty car. Now this is Volvo's latest product. It's the 850. The question is, are we going to be laughing or crying when it ends up in that? As usual, Volvo has stuck to its policy of getting children from the local primary school to help out with the design. On the 850 here, every single panel is new. Now you may be wondering why, if they were going to all the trouble and expense of making new panels, they made them look identical to the old ones. Well, don't look at me, I haven't got a clue. And yes, I have asked Volvo, and they don't seem to have a clue either. You see, I always laboured under the obvious misapprehension that one designed a new car to look different, so that when people saw it, they said, "Ah, look, a new car. I should perhaps take a test drive." If this were to cruise by your house right now, you'd look out of the window and say, "Ah, look, another dull and tedious Volvo, which I must remember to avoid like the plague." But this would be a mistake, because although it looks as frumpy as a maiden aunt called Aunt Frumpy, this is like no Volvo we've ever seen before. There really should be a warning notice on the screen now. Look out, Clarkson's going to get the bonnet up. So, there you have it, a 2.5 litre fully catalysed lightweight engine. It's unusual because it has 5 cylinders and 20 valves, but it's not unique because that's been done before by Audi. Now, it's interesting because it took Volvo just 4 years to develop, and that is half the usual time for a European manufacturer. What's more, this is the first big Volvo to have front-wheel drive. Now, that of course meant that a new rear suspension system was needed. The finished product is called Delta Link, and it's so clever, Volvo has patented it. So, despite the exterior appearances, there's quite a lot of radical engineering in here. Performance-wise, the Volvo is just plain fast. It hauls itself from 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds, and will still be going like a train as the speedo climbs past 130. And even if you do have lead feet, you'll still do more than 24 mpg, which ain't bad. Still, when we're talking about Volvos, we tend to talk not about performance, we tend instead to talk about safety. So here goes. Now, on this model, I have discovered what I consider to be a major safety flaw. Oh, there's quite a lot of room in here. Anyway, the flaw. Now, this looks just like a conventional armrest, but if you open it up, it becomes a fully fledged baby seat, complete with its own safety belt and headrest. Now, I believe that this encourages parents to bring their baby in the car with them, when, as we all know, they should really be kept in soundproof boxes in the boot. Whoa! It was a joke, all right? It was a joke. That is actually a very neat piece of design. It also brings me on to the question of safety as a whole. In the past, Volvo has concentrated its efforts on keeping people alive in the event of an accident. The 850 is nimble enough to avoid one in the first place. If push came to shove and a juggernaut did use your door as a brake, the car has a number of features to ensure you can get out and tell the driver what you think of him. Apart from side protection bars in the doors, the whole body's designed in such a way that the energy of a crash is absorbed by the floor and roof and not your pelvis. This probably increases the chances of the car being written off, but at least you will be in a position to care. Now, before closing on the subject of safety, I would just like to say one thing. Volvo does not have a monopoly on it. There are lots of other manufacturers that make cars just as well as this, just as crashworthy, but they don't crow about it quite so much. Anyway, onwards now to perhaps the most important bit. How much does it cost? Well, you can have a 2-litre 20-valve GLT for £18,700. But this 2.5-litre derivative is round about £22,000. That's quite a lot when you learn the equipment levels are only fair to middling. Even so, the 850 is safe, full of neat touches and dull to look at. Apart from there being no estate version, a typical Volvo then. No, 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 no. The engine is wonderful. It howls like a racer, and even when it's burdened with an automatic gearbox, it goes like stink. The ride is perhaps a bit too firm and the steering can be a bit woolly, but overall, this is a fun car to drive. In the past, the words Volvo and fun went together like ice cream and gravy, or Terry and June. But that was then, and this is now. And when they do get round to crushing the 850, I'll be the one at the back with a hanky.